She's one of the top ministers in the government of India. She handles a $3 trillion economy and she's also part of India's National Security Council. Yet she says, I don't have the money to contest the election. How much money do you need to contest? We looked at the finance minister's affidavit. She has declared assets worth 2.6 crore rupees. But the parliament average is much higher. It's almost 38 crore rupees per MP, per member of parliament, 38 crores. Let me show you numbers from the 2019 election. The BJP spent around 27,000 crore rupees. As you know, the Lok Sabha has 543 seats. So we did the math and it comes out to almost 50 crore rupees per seat. The main opposition Congress spent between 7,000 and 12,000 crores, which is up to 22 crores per seat. Winning an election has become more expensive across the world. Take the US midterm elections. Candidates spent $16 billion in the last one. 16 billion. That's twice the Lok Sabha spending in 2019. And you can see why this is a problem. Most individuals cannot muster this kind of funds. They will need corporate help. And with that help comes undue influence. So all democracies need to review themselves. Because this was supposed to be a system for the people. I don't remember it being for the rich people.
5 to 8 elections every year. You don't expect people to talk sense. This is why I've been pushing for one nation, one election. Even well before this government, in 2014 this government came, even well before that, I've been pushing for that. Because the very nature of democracy and what it is like this. Today, you are in the top position. You're literally the democratic king, all right? And if you lose the election tomorrow, you are nothing. Suppose you had a job like this, you would also be, say, talking all kinds of nonsense. Anybody had a job like this. So this is the nature of democratic process, that today you're up there, tomorrow morning you're nothing. So when this is the thing, when election time comes, you expect all of them to speak absolute sense. Doesn't work. So this little bit of exaggerated articulation should be allowed 3 to 4 months before the election maximum. 3 months is enough, I feel. But now, throughout the 5 years, they're talking because every year there is an election, almost every second month.
So.
No, till 1967, both assembly and parliamentary elections were done together. It's only after that this has been done. So now the Prime Minister is campaigning, Chief Ministers are campaigning all over the place. Where is the work time? For people who hold office, they are given that position for them to do work, not to campaign for their party. But they can't help it because their party, if it doesn't win, they will be out. They have to win. To win, you have to do emotions and run emotionally, not sensibly, all right? It's an emotional pitch. When you do emotional pitch, you won't talk sense about the nation. So I'm saying, allow once in 5 years, 3 months of nonsense. It's okay.
But do you think, Sadhguruji, some of these laws, One Nation, One Election, CAA, Citizenship Act that you were talking about, will they ever fructify? Given the level of acrimony that we see today, the level of confrontation, we have a new parliament building, but we have old parliamentarians who can't see eye to eye, who can't sit together, who can't pass laws together. One side suspends the others will be unruly. Where are we going in our politics, in our governance?
I think in the new parliament they should have given reclining chairs. So those who want to fall asleep would have fallen asleep, they wouldn't have walked out. So, leaving the jokes apart, well, this is why I'm telling you. This problem is because when somebody loses the election, they are full of angst because they have nothing to do. I'm saying, if you go for this one nation, one election, slowly this will level out. All politicians will have their own professions and they will also participate in politics. If it doesn't work, they go back to their profession. This is how it should be. because they should have done something else successfully in their life. It's very important. People who have done nothing other than taking morchas on the street come to the top. Even administrators, people who are elected members who are running the state are calling for a bandh. You want to close down your own state? What is this? This is done by the enemy.
Democracy?
Closing down the state is done by the enemy, not by one who is administrating, all right?
But isn't this
No,
right to protest
No, it
part
is not
of
about right
democracy?
to protest, it is by habit. So, one nation, one election will happen because already a committee has been formed with the former president in charge of it. I'm sure they'll come out with something. I'm sure, unfortunately, always, all policies are compromise policies. If we don't grow out of this compromise business, everything is compromise, compromise, compromise. Compromise means you deliver half a baby. All laws are made like this, half babies. Half babies are not half solution. Half a baby is a nuisance. You don't have a baby, no problem. Half a baby is a big nuisance. So, without coming to compromise, we must make laws which will take the nation ahead. Somebody should have the courage to do that. Half babies will not solve. But if you don't do half babies, somebody will come out on the street and create ruckus in the country. So, for all these things, we must frame laws. Like right now, various things, see, right now truck drivers are protesting against the new laws. I understand their problem. If a truck driver or a bus driver, somebody hits somebody, because people are crossing on highways where there should be no people. When the vehicle is moving, especially a big vehicle, when it's moving at a certain speed, there's very little he can do. So, if he kills, he won't stop. Because if he stops, he may get lynched right there by the village people, and his truck or bus may get burned down, all this. I've lived on roads, driving all across India. Lucky, no, it didn't kill anybody, because any number of times, many people are just…
run across the road.
They're testing their horoscope with us, whether…
Well, when you talk about horoscopes, Sadhguruji, what is the horoscope of the country? Because we are meeting right now in the new year. What do you think 2024 has in store for us as a nation?
I think we are at an inflection point where if you do the right things now, the country is bound for a very, very rich time. But there are many fundamental issues which are hard to fix issues. One thing is, there is climate issues, which is global, of course. Soil issues are very serious, 1.4 billion people, and our soil organic content is 0.62%, which is very close to desertification, dangerously low. So these things have to be fixed, but can it be fixed? Yes, it can be fixed. And unless you take some laws which not necessarily are popular and push it into action, some certain things cannot be fixed. Economy is going well, I think we will continue to go well, because we placed ourselves geopolitically in a very nice place. We send aid to Ukraine, but we buy oil from Russia on rupee basis. We send aid to Palestine, and we have a big trade with Israel. And we buy oil from UAE now on a rupee basis. These are not small things. Never before we've done this. Never before most countries have not done this kind of tightrope walking efficiently. Thanks to all the people involved. I think India's foreign ministry and diplomatic personnel are being hugely praised across the world. And we say this is not an era of war, but we constantly threaten our neighbor, if you mess with us, we're going to come for you. These are very nuanced approaches, and at the same time, these approaches are coming from certain strength, which is important. Otherwise it won't work. If you didn't have the strength, it won't work. So people recognize the strength, and we are the fifth largest. I think we will be fourth in no time, probably by the end of this year or at least by mid-25. And being the third largest should happen by 2030 or so, 2030 or 2032. I feel it'll happen sooner than later.
Namaskaram, Sadhguru. Sadhguru, general elections are coming up this year. So, what is the one thing that you want the newly elected government to do?
There are many things that the country needs in terms of economic boost needs to happen, which definitely will happen, I believe, in the next 5 years to 10 years' time. Educational transformation needs to happen, but you're giving me only one thing. Only one thing. I have many things, but if it's only one thing, one most important thing for this civilization to burst forth and become something significant in the next 25 years is the Hindu temple should come to the hands of Hindus. Why this is important? Because you must understand, Hindu temple is not a place of prayer. It is not even a place of worship. These were energetically consecrated spaces for different purposes, so that human beings will flourish, which they did in the past. When most of the world did not know what is what, we had the highest level of mathematics, music, astronomy, spiritual process. If you look at the thought process of people who were here 5,000, 10,000 years ago, but nowhere in the world anything like that happened. All this happened because we invested in the inner well-being of the human being. Temples are a physical, monumental representations of that. It is not a place of worship. It is not a place of prayer where somebody leads you to say, you give me this money, then I will send a message to God and He will respond to you and He'll talk to you and all that stuff. Here, you went there only to have darshan, not to pray. You must understand this. You did not go to the temple to pray. You went there only to have darshan. Because you can't keep quiet, you'll start thinking of all kinds of rubbish. They thought you something to say in a language that you usually don't understand. Because just to keep yourself focused, it's about darshan, imbibing the form into yourself. This is not to call God, to become God. This is not asking for somebody to come down and do something for you. It is for you to rise to that possibility. So, now we call ourselves a secular country, which we are not, because most of the Hindu temples are in the hands of the government, run by government clerks, systematically being ruined. There is no such thing as a temple without devotees. Only in the hands of a devotee, something becomes sacred. Hello? Yes. Can an employee who's looking what is his next increment can handle something which will bring that possibility to people? And temple was a fulcrum of art, music, culture, everything. All that is completely being decimated. So this is not a question of my culture versus your culture. This is a conscious culture which was created in a way that human consciousness will be the most important part of your life. Other things are secondary. This is why when people lived in shacks, they built temples that you can't imagine. Great feats of engineering, architecture, an immense effort. How 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, they could have built these temples when there were no machines, there were no transporting processes like machinery to transport or to lift stone. using millions of tons of stone. How did human hands do this? When you think about it really, next time you go to an ancient temple, you must look at it. Suppose you were here 1,000 years ago or 1,500 years ago or 2,000 years ago, how would you put this into place without machines? It's simply impossible even to think. But they did these things because they saw human evolution is the most important thing. To hasten human evolution is the most important thing. Today, whether you're driving a luxury car or living in a palace or not is not the important thing. Human evolution is the most important thing. How to hasten that process? Because human evolution has come to a place where it can consciously evolve. That means you can take 1,000,000 years or you can be there tomorrow morning. It's your choice. To exercise that choice is why we built these structures. But now, because everybody is thinking your community versus my community, it's becoming a competition process. This is not a competition with anybody. These are instruments for human well-being. Without this, we will end up living gross. In 1993, when we first came here to this place, for the first time in the wholeness program, when some 68 people were with me, for 90 days of time, for the first time, to any other human being I spoke, though I've been pregnant with this for 18 years, for the first time I spoke, we need to build a Dhyanalinga temple. Immediately, the moment you're educated, you're like this, because that's the kind of education I also went through. Why a temple? Why can't we build a school? Why can't we build a hospital? I said, all those things will come later. First we need to build this because I'm pregnant, I can't be holding it forever. Hello? I have to do this. So, today, if there was a school here instead of a temple or a hospital here, would you be here, I'm asking? No. Maybe if you got sick, you would be here, or if you had too many children, you would be standing in a queue for admission. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So this is important. The most important thing in human life is to hasten one's evolution to a greater possibility. This is the purpose with which we created these structures with enormous effort. And for every kind of human being, for every kind of purpose that human beings come up with, for all that. But today, apart from those who have been ravaged by invasions, leaving that alone, what is here is run by government clerks. This is one thing they must do, because people have been waiting for this, because Hindus are mooka pranis. That means they usually don't speak. Whatever. Because these 1,000 years of invasions have taught them this: if you raise your head may go off, put your head down and walk. So this does not mean we have to fight with somebody. Why? We are saying every religion has the same right. Every religion has the freedom to do what they want. When this is so, why are the temples being run by governments? Simply because there is money, because there is wealth. Anyway, all the jewelry, gold, diamonds, everything, the English took whatever they could take, shiploads. In many ways, a large part of World War II was funded by gold from Indian temples, to a significant part. But after that, in the independent India, the politicians have stolen everything. Hell with the gold. I'm not interested in the gold and diamonds that were in the temple or still there in the temple, I don't care about that. These are energetic forms. These need to be kept alive for future generations to benefit from this. But time is running out for that. So, what will this do? This will ignite the whole world. If we keep these places powerful, this is not just for Hindus, for every human being on the planet, it will bring benefit. For every living thing on the planet, it will bring benefit. There is a way to do that. And many nations outside of India are realizing that. But here, for political reasons and greed, we are holding it this way. If there is only one thing I can ask from the new government, this one thing must happen, because This will transform the way we educate ourselves. This will transform the way we look at ourselves and way we look at each other. Tell me, is it nice to look at this young woman like this or like this? I'm asking. There is room for that also somewhere in a certain relationship. But when she simply arrives on the street in front of me, is it better to look at her like this? Hello? For her, for me, for the society, is it better? This is what it means, that people are making fun, oh, they have 33 million gods, goddesses, what nonsense. Snake is a god, cow is a god, bull is a god. Why? Even a leaf is a god. Every bit of creation is God. Even if we can see an atom, if I look at an atom in an electron microscope, the first thing I will do is this. Hello? Because this is important. This civilization is important for the rest of the world because the rest of the world is unfortunately in a conquest mode. Whatever they see, they want to conquer. Bowing down to everything they see doesn't exist. If this has to come, these temples have to be kept alive, not just as monuments, but as living things. These were created as living instruments to transform human consciousness. This has to come back, because you're giving me only one thing. I'm saying this.
Whoever gets elected, this one thing must happen.
Ancient democratic foundations are deeply intertwined with its cultural and philosophical heritage. The concept of democratic governance in ancient India was not merely about political administration, but also about social harmony and ethical conduct. The Rig Veda, for instance, reflects a society where decisions were made collectively, with assemblies like Sabha and Samiti serving as forums for debate, consensus building, and conflict resolution. These assemblies were not limited to the ruling elite, but included representation from various segments of society, fostering a sense of inclusivity and participation in decision-making processes. Moreover, texts like the Arthashastra provided comprehensive guidelines for governance, covering aspects such as administration, law enforcement, taxation, and diplomacy, indicating a sophisticated understanding of statecraft and public policy. Struggle for independence and democratic awakening. India's journey towards democracy was propelled by the relentless efforts of its freedom fighters who waged a tireless struggle against British colonial rule. The Indian National Congress, founded in 1885, emerged as a powerful platform for articulating the aspiration of the Indian people for self-governance and national independence. Visionary leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, through his philosophy of non-violence and civil disobedience, mobilized the masses and galvanized them into a formidable force against colonial oppression. The Quit India movement of 1942, for instance, saw widespread popular participation, highlighting the indomitable spirit of the Indian people in their quest for freedom. These movements not only challenged the authority of the British Raj, but also laid the foundation for India's future democratic institutions and values. Nation building and constitutional democracy. The attainment of independence in 1947 marked the beginning of a new chapter in India's democratic journey, characterized by the monumental task of nation building. The Constituent Assembly, comprising eminent leaders from diverse backgrounds, undertook the momentous task of drafting the Indian Constitution, which would serve as the guiding light for the nation's democratic aspirations. The Constitution, with its emphasis on fundamental rights, rule of law, and separation of powers, laid the groundwork for a robust democratic framework that would withstand the test of time. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, as the chairman of the drafting committee, played a pivotal role in shaping the Constitution, ensuring that it reflected the aspirations and values of a diverse and pluralistic society. The adoption of the Constitution on January 26, 1950 marked the formal establishment of India as sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic republic, setting the stage for a new era of democratic governance and nation building. Democratic electoral processes. India's electoral processes represents the cornerstone of its democratic governance, providing citizens with a mechanism to express their will and hold their representatives accountable. The Election Commission of India, established in 1950, has been instrumental in ensuring the conduct of free, fair, and transparent elections of all levels of government. The Lok Sabha elections, held every 5 years, witnessed the participation of millions of voters across the country, making it the largest democratic exercise in the world. Similarly, state legislative assembly elections, and local body polls offer citizens the opportunity to elect their representatives at the regional and grassroots levels, ensuring decentralization and participatory governance. Despite the logistical challenges posed by India's vast size and diversity, the electoral process remains a testament to the resilience and vibrancy of India's democracy, reflecting the collective will of its citizens. Fiscal governance and budgetary mechanisms. India's budgetary mechanisms play a crucial role in shaping its economic trajectory and fostering inclusive development. The Union budget presented annually by the Finance Minister serves as a blueprint for the government's revenue and expenditure priorities. Through meticulous planning and allocation of resources, the budget aims to address key sectors such as healthcare, education, infrastructure, agriculture and social welfare, ensuring equitable growth and development across the country. The budgetary process, characterized by transparency, accountability and public participation, reflects India's commitment to democratic governance and fiscal prudence. Moreover, initiatives like GST have further streamlined the taxation system, promoting ease of doing business and enhancing fiscal governance in the country. Global influence and diplomatic engagement. India's global influence stems from its status as the world's largest democracy and its growing economic and technological prowess. As a founding member of various international organizations and forums, including the United Nations, G20, BRICS, and the Commonwealth, India actively participates in global governance and advocates for issues of common concern. Its strategic partnerships with countries across the world, spanning diverse regions and sectors, amplify its diplomatic reach and influence, positioning India as a key player in shaping regional and global affairs. Moreover, India's cultural diplomacy, manifested through initiatives like the International Day of Yoga and cultural exchange programs, enhances its soft power and fosters goodwill and understanding among nations, further bolstering its global structure and influence. In conclusion, India's journey as the world's largest democracy is a testament to its rich history legacy, steadfast commitment to democratic principles, and proactive engagement on the global stage. From ancient democratic foundations to modern-day governance structures, India continues to inspire and lead by example, embodying the ideals of democracy, pluralism, and inclusive development.